All right, everyone. We have everything set up for our Metroid Prime run. This is your absolute last possible moment to try and break that tie to see which suit we're going to be using for this run. So you got to be real fast with those fingers. But otherwise, we're good to go. And I have the amazing Vertigo here to run Metroid Prime for us.
Hi everyone, I'm Vertigo. I've been speedrunning Prime for quite some time. I've got two lovely commentators here with me.
Yes, hello, I am Sam, also known as Samuel6710. I've been running Prime for a little over a year now, and we've also got friend Whiskers here. Say hello, Whiskers. He's very talkative today. I believe he might be AFK, but I'm sure I'll be back here in a sec.
You wanna chuck him a quick DM maybe?
Yeah, for sure.
Alright. So
Oh, did we get a donation? Actually, I think I noticed it went up.
Okay, we did. We got a couple donations that broke the tie. We are for sure using the fusion suit.
wait.
Let's go.
So that is good. That was the preference I was told when we were figuring things out. So
Just barely.
Awesome.
all right, so yeah,
Yeah.
we're definitely good to go. Just real quick before we get started, since we're waiting on Whiskers for a second anyway, the first of those donations was a $7.20 donation from our very own Mash. Thank you so much, Mash. We appreciate that. But if y'all are good to go, I will let y'all get started.
Yeah, I think so.
Sweet.
Not terribly much to talk about. I think we could probably get started with just the category while we get started here. Any percent, no major glitches. Kind of a bit of a weird term in terms of Metroid Prime, but we're just going to see no out of bounds and also no use of infinite speed, which we'll get into more detail in later in the run.
Alright.
So yeah, let's go.
Alright, we'll count down.
Want to do the countdown, Vertigo?
Alright, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, here we go. So there's a lot to get into, but here we're going to start off with the tutorial area, or the Space Pirate Frigate. Game's first going to teach us how to shoot our beam. We already know how to do that. We've done it many times before. Just got to get through this pretty quickly. And the first thing you're going to see here, one of the most important aspects of Metroid Prime Sphere, is a scan dash. Now, this game does not have a sideways speed cap, and if you lock onto something, then do a combat strafe and let go of the lock on afterwards, you can retain all that speed, and you can use it to fly across rooms and get to places you were not meant to be before. So hello, Whiskers. So I see that used in a myriad of different rooms, but you'll also notice that Vertigo is doing a lot of jumping around. Aerial movement in this game is much faster than ground movement and walking. Generally, if we don't have any space to jump, then we're going to enter more ball and roll around. But besides that, you'll just see a lot of jumping, using something called bunny hops to retain speed. A nice little combination of scan dashing there. You can notice how, depending on where certain scan points are in the room, where you're normally supposed to just read lore entries, can give you a lot of unique movement opportunities. Here we're going to see a damage boost. You can retain a lot of speed if you knock into certain enemies. Some of them deal insane knockback for some reason. Now we're going to do a bomb jump up to this pipe here. Hold into that and then make the game... then we get stuck there, rather, and the game will put us in a spot where we can stand, and that happens to be right up on top of the ledge there. So we can climb that room and avoid all the nonsense that it has in it. And you'll also notice that they'll be able to stand a lot of weird spots. And we have a saying in this community, if something looks like you can stand on it, then you can probably stand on it. Oh, will we get the funny part? Oh,
Oh,
that was pretty good. That part there is really funky, where you can... Typically, a lot of stuff, again, is standable. Samus is somewhat standable, and you'll find that enemies can occasionally stand on her. And they have really funky properties when you do certain things to them. Now, here we're going to roll into the very first boss of the game. Don't blink. And it's dead.
just like that.
It was really, really tricky, but we made it through just barely. Normally, missiles have a cooldown when you fire them. However, if you hold up on the C stick or press A after firing them, it'll reduce the cooldown significantly, and we can use that to just annihilate the Parasite Queen. And since the Parasite fell into the reactor core, that makes things go bad. You wouldn't expect it, right? So we gotta leave. We have 7 minutes.
Conveniently,
I think he can make it.
we can just see how long we have until the explosion, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, normally, in a normal any percent run, you can go out of bounds here to skip this section. However, because of this category, we are not doing that. This is inbounds, so we're going to see some different kind of routing choices. So we're going to just navigate through these tunnels. This is the intended way of getting through the frigate, but we're going to do it with a lot of unique strats, and mainly that comes down to Morphball. A lot of these are downward slopes that make Morphball significantly faster, and we can also hug against the rims of certain parts of these tunnels to gain more speed. And we're going to be implementing some jumps and dashes throughout. Like those parasites there that are there for some arbitrary reason, we can use them to dash off.
Yeah, a lot of these parasites do a lot of big damage to you. But thankfully here in Morph Ball, we don't take a lot of damage to them.
Yeah, Morphball has some interesting invulnerability properties where it gives you more invincibility frames. There's this giant piston here. Fun fact that you can actually beat that piston and get crushed by it, but it doesn't actually deal any damage to you. I was low-key disappointed when I figured that out.
Yeah. Feels like it should be faster, like you should get something if you beat it, but no.
Oh yeah. So here's the giant space dragon. For some arbitrary reason, he's just chilling here. And he's gonna scream and yell and leave.
Yeah, dude. You know, as if it wasn't blowing up enough, he has to try and make it blow up even harder.
Yep. We're also gonna see a bit of an obscure piece of tech called Grapple Dash. Grapple Beam is normally how you're supposed to cross, but just like a regular lock-on point, we can use it to dash across. Oh no, what's this? A cutscene?
What's happening?
Oh, and well, Sam's is dead. Roll credits.
Ugh, what is that suit?
Yes, so we just lost all our items. Yeah, so now we get just the basic spammy pew shooter of our power beam, unfortunately. Now you may remember earlier I mentioned that there is a way you can go out of bounds and circumvent that. Fun fact, the game actually does a check, or rather another action to where I'll just remove your items again when you leave. 429 is pretty solid.
Yeah, not bad.
And we've made it out.
Oh, we're not the only one.
Giant space dragon is back.
Yes, flying through space.
If you flap your wings, you go faster.
Yes, everyone knows. In the void, flapping your wings makes you fly faster.
Makes sense to me.
It's bird magic, of course, you know.
I play Metroid Prime exclusively for its realistic physics. All right, so now we're going to go after Ridley or something. We're going to land here on the planet Town 4. As mentioned before, scan dashing can put you in spots that you're not supposed to be. So we can immediately go behind the ship here into this room behind us and get this item called the Space Jump Boots. And skip about a third of the way into the game, I believe.
Yeah.
This is a really huge sequence break. This lets us jump twice, and jumping twice in this game is surprisingly busted.
Super useful. Lets you do everything and anything, honestly.
Yes, and scan dashing and combat dashing just becomes so much stronger. When you have a second jump, you can get across rooms much more quickly. We're going to see that used excessively.
Yeah, Space Jump also raises your vertical speed cap and actually just makes you go faster in general. You can jump higher, farther. It's great.
So we can use that to get a lot of items out of order or earlier than intended. Starting with this room here, Main Plaza. Normally you're supposed to go grab the boost ball to get this missile here, but we can just use Space Jump to jump up it. And you're normally supposed to do a loop around Chozo to get this energy tank, but we can just do a jump there and immediately get it.
Yeah, as it turns out, you don't need like main missiles. You can just get like any missile, and that just works. The game treats
Missile launcher is just a fancy missile expansion. We can use a scan dash there to skip over a fight mini boss triggered and just immediately pick up the morph ball. We are going to hit it on the way out though, because then we'll exit morph ball without actually having to do anything. We're going to get some lovely beetle music.
Yeah. One of the side effects of skipping the fight is that because you didn't defeat the boss, you didn't end the music trigger, so music's just going to keep playing until the next time it changes.
Yes, Retro Studios didn't think you'd leave afterwards.
It's surprising, honestly, that the doors are just unlocked, too. But you really weren't intended to have your second jump, which just lets you leave.
Yep, again, jumping twice in this game is very strong.
So you might have noticed that pause there at that room. For some rooms in the game, if you pause, it will let the door open faster. So instead of loading all of the rooms and then opening the door, it will just open the door for you. And that's one of the few rooms in the game that we just randomly pause. It's a little bit faster.
Video. We also grab this missile here, very easy, very quick. Missiles are going to be a pretty useful resource, especially with that quick fire method we use on the Parasite Queen. And we're going to be stopping by here to get an item that's not technically required, but is going to make our lives much easier. That is Charge Beam here, which lets us charge our beam and deal way more damage. This is definitely skippable, and you can choose to skip it. You can do something like low percent where you don't pick this up, but it makes combat kind of terrible.
Yeah. Combat is infinitely faster with Charge Beam.
So another interesting difference here with this route is that normally you would shoot that missile door that Vertigo was looking at the end of the hallway there to prepare infinite speed, but thankfully we don't need to do that because we're not going to do it.
Yep. We've got a couple more items to grab. We're on our way to our favorite boss in the game.
Oh, yes. There's a very important item here, the Morph Ball Bombs, that'll let us do a lot of different things. But it's locked behind the Incinerator Drone, which is a very special mini-boss fight to us Prime Runners. Say hello to Zoid.
Hi, Zoid.
Waiting Simulator.
Yes, so Zoid here, named after the developer who made it, Zoid Kirsch, is basically an auto-scroller. You're supposed to shoot his eyeball when it comes out, It'll do that in random intervals 4 different times. Fourth one can be even really, really long, and you can lose 50 to 60-ish seconds on this fight, depending on how good the RNG is. Normally, you're supposed to sort of dodge around his flamethrower, but you can just stand on its rim and it can't hit you. It'll summon wasps, but you can just shoot them and occasionally give some nice drops. And occasionally bully you.
Super easy. You really just, because you can stand on his eye, you just sit there. It's unfortunate how much variance there is in the slowest versus the fastest too. Is you can lose a lot of time for no reason right at the beginning of the run.
Yeah. It's interesting actually, because with the most modern strats, this is actually the only pure RNG part of the run. There we go. Normally if the music loops, or rather if you defeat Zoid before the music loops, it's considered a good amount of RNG.
And it's definitely on the better half of the spectrum.
Alright, so now we got more ball bombs. So while we have some time, I think probably now is a good time to talk about the differences with the No Magic Glitches part of this. First thing with Out of Bounds, it's relatively straightforward in concept. Thing is with Prime and Out of Bounds is that there are a lot of rooms where there are just holes in the collision where you can walk out. And generally you can use that to circumvent certain parts of the game. However, if you do that, then you are committing yourself to something that is very difficult, because Prime Out of Bounds is very punishing and can be really slow if you don't know what you're doing. So you can get really far with just inbounds movement, and I think this run does a really fantastic job of showing it.
Yeah, for the longest, this particular route was extremely similar to the any percent route. Out of Bounds was faster, but not like much different in terms of where you were going. So it's kind of cool to see this run be distinct from the any percent route now.
Absolutely. And also, we did that puzzle there because we are going to need to come back this way later.
Yeah, definitely just quicker to do it now when you're leaving.
So now we're on our way to go obtain the Varia suit. We need to get into Magma Caverns, which lets us access pretty much like the rest of the entire game. But we have to fight the cutscene monster. We're doing that here by doing a bomb space jump. There are certain camera angles where if you obscure the morph ball, it'll cause the unmorph animation to get skipped. You saw it used like 3 times there. And if you use that in combination with a weird thing with how jumping works in this game, where if you are in the air about, 22 frames, 21 frames after you leave the ground in morph ball, you can actually jump. And if you get that instant unmorph and then jump out of it, you can do a instant unmorph jump or a bomb space jump. And we can use that to climb certain rooms a lot more quickly. You also see it used in a very important trick later in the run. But for now, we get to fight the cutscene monster here.
Yes, this fight takes longer in cutscenes than it does actual gameplay.
Much longer.
Like significantly. What is it, like less than like 10 seconds of gameplay for the entire fight?
And you're about to see why, because these bomb slots, quote unquote, are not actual bomb slots. They're just damage triggers that detect the morph ball bombs. So because of that, you can kind of just do that.
Yep.
And Flogra freaks out just a little bit, just a wee bit.
Yeah, because you haven't stunned her. She's just like swiping it where you were, or where you're going to be, rather.
Yes. This can actually be a little scary for new runners who are trying to do this strat, because if you do it in a certain way, or if you stun Flogra, then she has a good chance to hit you as soon as the cutscene ends. But if you do it in a certain method, using these scan dashes here, you can prevent that.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Just rinse, repeat.
That last dash was pretty tricky. That was well done.
Nice. Here we go.
Alright, we killed the plants, so now the water isn't poisonous. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. It was poisoning the water supply.
It shows a water supply.
Here's
We got
our
our lovely T-pose.
Oh, yes. I love how your reward for watching the cutscene boss is like another minute and a half of cutscene.
Oh yeah.
And then on top of that, you get the best colored suit in the world.
Yep, we got mustard yellow on top of desaturated coral pink.
It's like dog cute.
All right, so now we can go play the game. So there's a pretty important trick coming up. This room where we fought Flogger in actually contains an artifact, which is one of 12 that are required to finish the game. Normally you would you would drop down this shaft to do it. However, we can use something called an infinite bomb jump here by rubbing up against the corner of this collision here. We can fall slowly and use morphball bombs to slowly scale our way up the room. Because you fall slowly enough, the bomb refill timer will actually be too slow to prevent you from dropping. So we can use that to climb all the way back up the room. What we did there is we hit a trigger that is actually close to the top of the room that changes this room's layer, quote unquote. So these spooky ghosts now are going to try and fight us. But thankfully we have Charge Beam, which makes it way faster.
Yeah, you're not supposed to come back here until like way later in the game.
Oh yeah, you're supposed to have fought several, like Thardus, gotten Wave Beam, Spider Ball, etc.
I think you need supers too.
Yeah.
So this fight's pretty straightforward. If you use a charge beam shot, you can stun lock the ghosts right as they try to dash away from you. And you can keep them going just long enough to keep shooting them. Hopefully get a good fight here.
That's how if they
Sometimes they're mean.
don't cooperate there. Oh, free time loss? Okay, well, we haven't seen that in a moment. If you kill a ghost during a very particular part of its animation, it'll just do this idle animation for a long time before it actually dies.
Yeah. It takes like 3 times
thing.
longer to die for no reason. We call it free time loss, but it's just a super slow death.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. You don't see it very often. But yeah, we can overlap those cutscenes there also. Obtain that artifact and watch the cutscene of the door unlocking. We don't need to use that door because we're just going to come through this way again. We can use Morphle here to fall in the shaft, and if we unmorph at the right time, we'll lose all that speed so we don't get staggered when we land. It's nicely done. Alright, now we're moving on to Magmore. This is a very heavily movement-centric area. We're going to see a lot of pretty crazy dashes.
I like Magmore. It's very linear, so a lot of the movement's just long dashes through rooms.
Yes, we're going to get started with this room here, which houses another artifact, which is fueled by a common misconception that you need super missiles to open up that pillar, but you don't. Just 2 missiles will do.
Nice. Picked up the missile drop.
Yeah, those are really useful. We can dash off that puffer, then do a bunny hop to conserve that speed, then bring the lock on into the next room to do that dash. Didn't quite make it over, but it was still quite good. There's a lot of locks we can work with. Oof, just barely didn't make it. That dash in particular is pretty tricky. There's a lot of things you need to avoid running into to lose your speed.
Yeah. A lot of random puffers flying through the air. You gotta dodge. If you set up
There's
good
another
enough,
really long one.
you can do this really long dash over the lava pit straight over to the bridge. Skip's having to climb a whole bunch of section around the other side of the room.
Here we got the iconic race tank. Loses 8 seconds.
Everyone loves race tank.
It is secondly faster to skip this, but it's way safer to pick it up. There we go, onwards to Findrana. This area is where we're going to see the
this being
first big
time to
route
get in.
difference. Yeah, go for it.
Hey, I just wanted to say that right towards the beginning of the run, we did have a $25 donation from, it was like Jed D20 saying good content. That was actually what sealed the deal on the fusion suit. So thank you so much, Jed. If you also want to donate, please just put ! donate in the chat and you will get a link right to it.
Absolutely. Shout out to Jed. He's another Prime suit owner. So doing some really nice dashes to skip a large section of that. So now we're going to go grab an item called the Boost Ball. Once again, technically an optional item, but it lets us go really fast.
Yeah. Boost ball is quite the speedy item.
So we can do a really long dash there, and if we do some combat strays off these platforms, we can just barely slide into it. Nicely done.
Boost ball acquired. Press and hold B to charge. Release B to boost.
Thank you, Whiskers. I'm sure Vertigo needed to know that. So there's kind of I'd say a tier list of movement options. Boost ball is definitely the fastest given a flat bit of terrain. Then we have scan and combat dashing, comes closely afterwards. I mean, you can see how fast it is just by these rooms. Then it's rolling normally, just in Morph ball without the boost ball. Then it's L jumping, R jumping, or rather, I think bunny hopping is faster than rolling nowadays, but it's very hard.
I think it just depends on the room.
Indeed, that is true. Here's that giant space dragon we saw the game trying to remind us that we're supposed to go deal with that. We don't really care, honestly.
His shadow is always just so massive compared to his body in that cutscene.
Yeah.
Makes no sense to me.
If you actually go and no-clip to that model, it's actually quite small. More than you'd expect.
And standable, in case you were curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tested that one out. He is standable.
Oh, hell yeah. I got that one frame bomb. A lot of cutscenes, as soon as they start, give you about 1 or 2 frames of input. That one is really hard to time, and you can only do one thing, which is lay a bomb. We can also place these bombs in a certain way so that they'll refill when we need them to, so we can bomb those pillars and get out. Now we need to grab Weight Beam here, and it's right there, free for us. Nope.
Just kidding. It's a trap.
Just a prank.
It's a prank, bro.
It was a trap, waiting to be triggered.
Look, there's a camera, look.
So, here we have to fight these little baby Shigoths. We can use a combination of 2 missiles and power pellets to take them out. Now we've got the Mama Shigoth, which is going to bust through this wall. I don't know what it was doing there. These guys are pretty annoying to deal with, but if you lay bombs in just the right spot, it'll cause her to do this animation of flicking back, and from that point, missiles become way, way more potent, and you can use it to kill her real quickly.
It was a good fight.
I don't know what happened
Yeah.
there.
we tried to overlap the cutscene there by standing in wave beam, but I think the Mama Shigoth was covering it, so it didn't quite come up. So here's our main route difference. Normally in the IIS any percent route, you would get infinite speed in that room with the wave beam. However, infinite speed in this category, we would consider a major glitch. You would use it to get stuck in a spot, hold a direction, and build up so much speed that the game renders your speed as not a number, not infinite. It's not a number, which is really funky when it happens, and it lets you pick up the artifact in one of the rooms that we passed. We're not going to do that. We're going to route it in later.
Yeah, it's a pretty serious glitch. You can just grab items through walls, touch cutscenes, warp to places. You can do all kinds of stuff. It's one of the few things in the game that's like seriously broken, besides space jump, honestly. But
it is hard to determine what's a glitch versus an exploit. Infinite speed, though, is very safely in the category of a glitch.
Yeah, undeniably a major glitch.
So from here, we're going to make our way through Magmoor over back to Talon. We're going to go pick up the Ice Beam. That'll let us do significantly more. Oof. That was almost amazing. Fantastic. That dash is really hard to maneuver. There's a lot of walls you can run into and lose speed. That was a really fantastic Magmoor too. So upcoming is one of my one of the most infamous rooms in the 90% route, really hard to climb quickly. So much so that we now have a different route that just completely skips it. Before we do that, we can grab that missile on the way. It technically loses time, but if you... I mean, I don't even think it loses time. You need so many missiles. This room out here, Root Cave, is a bit of a pain to climb, but we have some strats, although they don't work sometimes. And we'll make our way back to the front of Chozo Ruins.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate the routing in this part of the game is like very short trips through areas and then these long elevator rides, but the
Prime
game,
is that fast.
The community only measures time by in-game time because it counts every frame that you have active control over Samus. So all of the cutscenes from the elevators don't matter for routing purposes. They just make really long cutscenes.
Yes. So now we're here to grab another artifact tucked in the back of Chozo here. We can use a really nice scan dash there to go on a little ledge.
Oh, that was a cool instant
large section.
You boosted so
need
fast around the corner, the camera just didn't keep up with you.
Yeah, you can do that sometimes. We're going to do something here called a slope jump. Normally you're supposed to have gravity suit to make it up that. However, if you hold against a sloped surface and then pull away, you can get a lot more height, particularly underwater, and that'll let us get that much earlier than intended. We're not going to be seeing the gravity suit in this run, unfortunately. We'll be seeing the yogurt suit. Hole in one.
Oh,
the tree denied you.
Blocked.
If you boost it off that ledge at just the right angle, you can make it through that tunnel with all your speed. Didn't quite get it there, but it is a fun trick to pull off, and we have dubbed it the hole in one.
It's like a quick little mini golf game. Mid-run. It's kind of fun, you know.
Indeed. Another route change here. Normally you would go to this other door in the room to go to the room called Magma Pool. Then you would use infinite speed once again to pick up a power bomb expansion so you can get power bombs early. If you remember the missile door that Vertigo ignored in one of the upcoming rooms earlier in the run, you would use that to cancel something called light show that happens because of infinite speed. Jeez, and it makes it so that you practically can't see anything. We don't have to do that, thankfully. We are going to route in power bombs later and still get them early.
Yeah. We're just on our way to Ice Beam now. The inbound's intended route.
More or less.
Sort of intended.
Yes, so you'll see here there's a spider track that it wants you to go up. However, because everything is standable, you can just kind of hold into it and go up it.
Yeah, even walls are standable when they're straight up, if they're marked as floors.
It's a little funky. Oh my god, that Incinemorph. Oh my goodness. That second one in particular is really finicky.
The floor grabbed
So
me there.
normally supposed to use the half pipe there, but dashing is much faster.
Coming up on my favorite room.
Yes. So this room, Hall of the Elders, we need to activate that bomb slot for a couple of things, one particularly later. But however, we need to deal with this ghost because Chozo Roses loves its Chozo ghosts. Just one, thankfully. We don't have to deal with a bunch of them. We're going to see another cutscene overlap here. Normally, you're supposed to take out that ghost and then activate the bomb slot after cutscene. However, you can play the two of them together to get the same effect, and it'll save some RTA. You may have also noticed
when the cutscene ends, you get teleported down to the bottom, so you can quickly just jump into these hands.
Yep. This lets us climb the room pretty easy. You may have also noticed when Vertigo entered this room that he jumped onto a peg on the wall. Again, normally you're supposed to have a spider ball to climb up it, but there's just a little thing that sticks out that you can jump onto. Okay, so here we got Reflecting Pool. Normally supposed to bomb and drain the water, then use it a half pipe. But again, everything's standable. You can jump off one of the stoned toads and just pick up the ice beam like that. So now the order chain, or like the sequence breaking chain, is really messed up from the vanilla chain. Because you're supposed to have a lot of stuff before ice beam. So here's a big route divergence. Because you would have power bombs early when you were here with ice beam, you would go to one of the other hallways instead of the one that Vertigo's currently going through to go pick up the X-ray visor. Because we don't have power bombs just yet, we're going to need to route that in later. So we go this way first. You can shoot that ice beam door just through that little crevice above. Wow, I can't believe you missed that. That missile's very nice because it's just directly on the way and doesn't lose any in-game time, but you can technically miss it, and sometimes it's easier to do on X than you may think. Nice little damage boost off the pirate there. Take a
quick little pit stop. Jinx.
Yep, call it the same thing. We can use it to refill our missiles and health. It's really nice. So now that we've got ice, we can go pick up our final beam of the run, the plasma beam. And then we have no limits on where we can go. Oh, nice. That Incinemorph is really funny because it kind of relies on the camera to be dumb. Alright, so we got another sequence break here. Normally supposed to have Spider Ball and to cross this gap, but we can use a R jump where you hold the R button and turn to get more speed, then jump off the ground and do a bunny hop where you can retain your speed and just make it across. Some more movement here. We can retain this lock on from the puffer and use it in this other room here. Nicely done.
Yeah, Vertigo is really making some of this look effortless.
Yes, Metroid Prime is hard to do. This is all tough. We can use a slope jump there to skip having to climb them normally. Now we can use a BSJ here with the spinner. We can skip activating the first one and this one here by using this standable right here and a well-timed R jump. Nicely done. There's also a scan dash you can do over the BSJ, but the BSJ is, I want to say, a little faster, but much more cool. Now we've got this giant spider ball maze puzzle thing that we can skip just by doing a slope jump into an R jump off that. Nicely done.
Yeah. They want you to go through the whole room all the way around, but screw it, let's just jump.
Yep. Now we got plasma, and now is sort of like where we want to find power bombs. Our closest one is thankfully pretty close to us. So we're first going to head into the far side of Phendrana, which we can reach just over here. We can do a scan dash off that pirate to land to a bit of a funky standable there and do an R jump. Nicely done. That strat is actually kind of tricky to do because the standable terrain is a little misleading. So now we're here in Vertigo. We're going to see yet another spider ball skip. Not only supposed to use it to reach this tunnel up here. However, you can stand on that little pillar and just make it up like that. So here we're going to go get an artifact and our very first power bomb. Phendrana Drifts, this side of it, has a lot of big, tall rooms, so movement can get a little scary, especially for newer runners, but Vertigo has been here a couple of times before.
Only a few.
A few. You can use that stalactite there to just completely avoid doing any of the normal stuff. Normally supposed to use missiles to drop them down and use as platforms. We don't need that. We're going to do a little bit of a tricky climb here, hugging the side of the wall.
Bunch of pirates trying to bully us.
Yes, those pirates can get very aggressive. We shoot one of them with an uncharged plasma shot as we're going up so that it'll end up crash landing on our way out.
Yeah, he slowly burns alive as you do all this other stuff, so you don't have to deal at least with one pirate.
Yes. Plasma's very strong. It'll technically one-shot them. There's our artifact, very conveniently placed next to our first power bomb where we need it. So now we just go our way back. We shut the wave door on our way up, so we can just wait for it to open there. I'm going to do a little bit of a tricky dash here. Nice. Did a little bit of a neat piece of tech there called a wall boost, where if you boost into a wall just as you hit it, you can gain a lot of height, and you don't have to use bombs to get up, so it saves a little bit of time. So now we're on our way here through labs. Normally you're supposed to come here from the front well before you've gotten the ice beam and get the thermal visor, which is the item Vertigo just passed. Don't worry, we'll be back to pick it up, but it's going to be better for us to go through here first, because we need to pick up another artifact. Also going to try and grab a power bomb. Nice. There we go.
Good.
It's going to be useful later in the run. Thank you, Edward. That pirate that broke the glass there can be really annoying sometimes, because occasionally he will just decide not to do it, and if you are unsuccessful in having him break the glass, you just have to leave the room and then come back and hope that he does it this time.
Look, it's a Metroid.
Oh yeah, that's the name of the game, by the way. Just kind of there. We don't really care.
Yeah.
So wow, I did not know you could use that scan point from behind. That's hilarious. So now we're here in Control Tower. This has our artifact that we want. Normally you're supposed to melt some ice and then you shoot a missile into some collision. We don't really need to do that. We can just jump off this box and then at the peak of our height just shoot a missile at it without doing all those steps. We could do it vanilla if we want, but this is faster. If you are doing a 100% run, you can do this to skip needing plasma beam.
Crazy they didn't make the wall like just a little bit taller.
Yep.
It's just short enough that you can easily jump over to it.
It almost feels like they wanted you to do it. Alright, so now we just make our way back. Nice. We avoided a load trigger there that loaded the other rooms, so the elevator hologram would stay there. If we had unloaded the room, that means we would have had to scan a point. So it was nicely done. It was a crazy bounce. So now we're going to pick up the thermal visor. This is technically not required, but it will make the final boss much easier, and it saves, arguably saves more time overall. We're going to do an interesting strategy here, where each time we scan a point, we're going to fall. We can grab the scan point as we fall, so it's much faster. We didn't kill these pirates, so they're still going to try and shoot us.
Yeah, this room's full of firing squads right now.
Yeah. We don't really care. We're just trying to get by.
Yeah, that top door locked, but we have ice beam, so see you later, nerds.
Yes, normally supposed to use thermal visor to look at conduits and then shoot them to activate doors. Because we have ice beam, we can just exit through the bottom and ignore that whole section.
Ooh.
A little close. Can use a combination of dashes there to make our way up. Again, optional E-tank, but makes our lives way easier, gives us a nice health refill.
Yeah, free E-tank, why not?
So here's a very important route divergence. Normally we would go through that elevator into Phase on Mines in a double IS route. However, we need to route in another artifact that we left at the start. In this room here contains Thardus, which locks the Spider Ball. And we don't want to do that fight because we don't need Spider Ball, and he's very slow. So we're going to use some collision here in the walls to carefully navigate our way around the room and skip the fight entirely. Nicely done. That trick, or that skip itself, isn't actually difficult, but if you do mess it up, you will have to deal with the fight, or I guess reset the run in that case. So it does save a lot of time. Oh, hello, Bamboo. It's also a Shigoth here now because we had picked up the thermal visor. Some interesting things with layers.
Yeah, at this point we've really sequence broken the heck out of the game, so layers are going to be starting to get kind of funky.
You should have had spider, gravity suit, grapple beam, main power bombs, X-ray visor, a lot of things at this point. So here's this artifact. Before you would use infinite speed in the room, you would bring it here, use boost ball, and it would pick it up for you. But we can just use plasma now that we're here. Another nice wall boost there to grab the artifact. Now we're gonna make our way back to Maglor. No, it's not deja vu, it's just routing. That was a really solid fen trip. This runs pretty darn good. Vertigo, you gotta teach me how to play this game sometime.
I'll think about it.
Alright, so we're back here now. We're here to grab an artifact and an extra power expansion for good luck. It is... We could have technically gotten this earlier, but because we have this power bomb now, we can go below it and grab an expansion. Nicely done. That dash off that puffer is really finicky. So here's our artifact of strength. And here's where we can use a power bomb to grab an extra expansion. Doesn't lose any in-game time, and because power bomb drops in this game are absolutely horrendous, it is very nice to have this expansion.
Yeah, you might as well get the
Nice.
expansions. The drops are so unreliable.
Yep.
Oh lord.
Here. Yeah, so you can see how earlier Vertigo managed some puts through this room, but
You're getting
if you end
bullied.
up running into anything, things can go south really quickly. Again, Metroid Prime is a hard game to run. Hard game to do well. And that's without out of bounds. So now that we have our power bombs, we need to go get the X-ray visor before going into phase on mines. We're actually going to see a few rooms that you would never see otherwise in any percent because of the way the route works. We're actually going to see one of my favorite room strats that I'm going to be really excited to see. Oh, Justin, come on. How could you do that?
Okay, Zoomer.
I like to call that Zoomer, Justin. Oh, nice. That's really clean.
Oh, fun.
You can occasionally just get stuck for no reason in certain spots because
Why am I?
Metroid Prime.
I should be saving and I'm not saving.
Just don't die.
Okay.
Easy.
Pros don't save.
So here's for a crash site. Normally you never see this room done in reverse. But now that we do, we can use a really cool strat where we jump onto this sandable and this branch and use this grapple point here as a scan point to dash all the way across the room and get up to this ledge that you're not even normally supposed to be able to get to whatsoever.
It's been forever since that room was in an any percent route.
Yeah, and I miss it because that strat is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, you're definitely not intended to go through that room backwards like that at all.
Absolutely not. So now we're going to go grab our X-ray visor, and along with it, an artifact that's conveniently right next to it. Fun fact about our fusion suit and that X-ray visor. Normally, the cutscene expects you to have a gravity suit at that point, I believe. However, while generally with most suits, the cutscene is pretty normal, with specifically the fusion power suit, which is the suit that comes before Varia, they messed up somewhere really badly. And if you pick up X-ray visor with the fusion power suit visible, the polygons will freak out and you'll just get this crazy mesh that is supposed to be Samus in her fusion power suit, but it's not exactly that.
Bunch of random triangles. This is the worst room in the game.
Oh, yes. Oh, nice. We can grab this
Notorious for
missile
just, like,
expansion.
grabbing you and killing all your speed randomly, or
Oh, speak
not
of the devil.
letting you up the ledge for no reason, or
Yeah, so, here's that X-ray visor. Normally, you are, or rather, that load trigger for this next room takes longer than you might expect. So you can actually grab that missile and not lose any time to waiting for it to load. This is also what we needed a power bomb for. and grab this artifact. So upcoming is a pretty infamous trick called bar skip. And the funny thing about that trick is that it was in the any percent route for quite a while until Remy, one of Prime Speedrunner, ended up just being like, you know what, I really don't like this trick, let's not use it. And then made a route that didn't use it, and then we timed it, and that route turned out to be faster. But because we can't use infinite speed, we get to do it this time. We have to use a pretty precise bomb jump here. There you go, fourth try, not bad. Normally, you're only supposed to come there from the back, and you can use that spinner on the other side to open it up. But because we are coming from the wrong side, we have to do that bomb jump.
Off to phase on mines now.
Yeah, this is where things get a little sketchy, because mines is very combat oriented. You'll find a lot of pirates and enemies that will get in your way or deal a lot of damage. We're going to avoid them for the most part, but there will be parts later or deeper in the mines where things can get pretty hectic. So what am I supposed to do? Oh, go on.
I was going to say, you're definitely underpowered coming into mines. You're intended to have a lot more energy tanks, gravity suit.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even think you can get to mines without gravity suit in vanilla gameplay.
Yeah,
so
you're supposed to go through the
do a
frigate.
lot more damage.
So we had skipped a lot of platforming earlier. We can just went through that a little less standable, did a dash across. Normally you're not supposed to go through this way. You're supposed to only be able to do it from the back. We don't really care, so we do it this way. And then we have this nice little elevator scene where we can look at the impact crater there. Now, normally you're not supposed to go through this way in an 80% run. You come from the back. Doing it from the front makes it so that our route is a little bit different, but we end up converging here in this very room with this cutscene where we can, once again, everything in Metroid Prime is standable, so we jump off the pirate up the room, and because the upper door does not lock, we just go through this way. We get the lovely fight music there for a bit. You can just barely hit that door before this cutscene starts, and it saves just a little bit of time. Couldn't see whether or not we got it. Yes, we did. Nicely done.
Oh,
Holy moly.
I've not had
That was
that.
an insane wall boost into that crazy camera. Holy moly. Now, because we have Plasma Beam, this guy breaks out of his cage. It's the only inventory check related layer in the game. We've got the infamous powerbomb maze here. Normally you're not supposed to have X-ray for that, but because we do, we can just make light work of it. This maze here, also made by the aforementioned Zoid Kirsch, is also RNG related. There is a way we can skip it, but it's very tricky to do. Oh, that was really close. But we have to get through a randomly generated amount of maze or squares here. They can be anywhere from like, what was it, 15 to 40 something, and they can lose or save a lot of time depending on how it was. That maze was pretty alright.
I think it's 55 is the longest maze.
55. Yeah. There's 300 possible mazes. One of those actually doesn't require you to use bombs, so we have a very nice couple of powerbomb drops there. Powerbomb management in this part of the run is extremely important because there's going to be a lot of spots where you're going to need them, and you're either going to have really good management or you're going to need to rely on RNG for drops. So here's where we're going to see some pretty crazy skips. We're going to be short a lot of what we would usually need to get across. You're normally supposed to use X-ray visor to cross some invisible platforms. However, we have some very conveniently placed Metroids to just dash across it. We don't need it. Then we have a spider ball track in the wall that you're normally supposed to go up. We don't have that, so we're going to need to do some weirdness here where we use a power bomb to destroy some rubble. That creates a slope for us to get on this beam. Then we manipulate a Metroid in front of us and dash across it. That was really well done. That room in particular can get really crazy because Metroids absolutely hate you. Like,
Yeah,
really hate you.
If you don't do that movement perfectly, then you don't get a good shot at manipulating that Metroid.
Yeah, and you're almost 100% going to fall if you get hit. So here's a similar room. In the modern 80% route, you would do a wall crawl here to grab something early. However, we are not going to do that, especially because that wall crawl is really hard. I'm normally supposed to use grapple beam off that glide to cross that gap, but once again, scan dashing. Here's another one of the aforementioned powerbomb requirements that's going to melt through them. There's going to be a boss fight upcoming where we're going to want to use optimally 2, but unless we want to deal with powerbomb drops, we may only use 1. Also, nice camera there. Those Metroids can get really uncooperative, but thankfully we managed to avoid them. Do a nice dash there across the gap. Here's another big skip room, Metroid Quarantine B. Normally supposed to use the spider ball track into grapple beam. We can just do a precise dash across this gap. Nicely done. All these pirates really don't like us, and they want to shoot us, but we don't care. We tried to hopefully get a powerbomb drop from there, but it looked like we just got health. Oh no, we did get one. No, we had 2 before.
Yeah, you take a lot less damage just trying to avoid the enemies if you can be quick about it than you do trying to like fight anything.
So this is the Omega Pirate. We need to fight this boss for an item. First off is that when we skip this cutscene, as soon as the fight happens, OP will just kind of be standing there, still doing its cutscene animation, so we can use that to get an early hit on it.
I don't have enough power
So
bombs.
if we had an extra power bomb there, if we had an extra power bomb there, we would do a trick called Trooper Skip, but because we don't, we're going to need to deal with these guys. Thankfully, it's Plasma Pirates. It can be RNG between any of the 4 beams. Optimally, we get Ice, but instead we're going to use Plasma, which is still quite good.
Yeah, Plasma is a good second option for sure. We don't really have any missiles, so Plasma would have been better anyways, I guess.
Indeed. So OP here is going to try and go to these pools to regenerate its health. However, its behavior is very predictable because it will always appear in a pool that it has not previously been to, and also the pool that is furthest away from you. So you can use that to manipulate it. So here's one of the powerbomb uses we're going to see. We're going to lay a powerbomb at just the right time, then we're going to equip X-ray and deal a lot of damage. Nicely done.
Yeah. Powerbomb.
And then Samus dies.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
What?
Rip Bozo.
Wait,
What?
What's that?
Never mind,
Gravity
she's fine.
suit?
Yes, we got the gravy suit, the yogurt purple suit.
And Trix yogurt suit.
JK. So we got the Phazon suit. This item is 100% required for finishing the game because we need it to get a special property in order to defeat the final boss. But we also need to get it so we can grab this artifact that we need to backtrack for. There is a wall called Skip It, the aforementioned one, although it is very, very difficult. It only saves like 50 seconds, I think, or a minute.
Either way, that sounds like a big glitch, dude.
Yeah, I'd say so, honestly.
Out of bounds is scary.
It's very scary. If you're a newer player trying to learn it, then more power to you.
You can do this without Phazon suit if you have enough energy tanks, but you can't really do that unless it's 100%. Yeah, what do you need? Like,
Nice. TAS is like 8 for human viability. Minimum might be 11, but doing it in a single 7 run is really scary. In the route with the most E-tanks, you would have 13, so it'd be a lot easier to do. Still tough, though.
Still tough.
Oop.
And then you have no health for the rest of mines. Thankfully, Phazon protects us from Phazon, so we just get to roll around through all the blue stuff now.
Indeed. So, had a little bit of a mishap, but we had a nice recovery there with a slope jump in the wall. We basically have this room part 2. That Metroid is very conveniently placed for us to dash across. We can roll for another power bomb there, but we unfortunately didn't get one. That's okay, we don't technically need another one. The thing we do want to be wary of is our missile count, because we are going to have to deal with another pirate to obtain an artifact, and that pirate in particular is very chunky, and we optimally want to have max missiles for that.
Yeah, the more the better, the faster the fight. And it's okay if you don't have missiles, but you want to be as optimal as possible. Hopefully these guys drop some more, especially considering we have max health. Unfortunately, the drops don't really take into consideration any of what you have, so it's just random if it's going to be power bombs or health or missiles.
Yeah, we rolled well there. The drop rates are per room, so they're always different. So here's this room with the pirate that we had encountered and jumped on his head earlier. It's still there again, the fight trigger is still there, however, it's just short enough to where if we do a precise jump, we can make it over. Nicely done. We can avoid doing that entirely. Saves us some time and some missiles. There's a couple of conveniently placed crates there we can use to grab missiles. So here's one of the most important tricks in the run to skip Spider Ball. Spiderless shafts, we call it. This first one is going to require us normally to go up a spider track, but because we don't have that, we're going to need to use a series of standables. And we start that with doing this bomb space jump here to get enough height to reach this standable on the wall. It's very small standable, so it's quite easy to slip off. Then after that, we're going to align just right with the spider track to get wedged inside it so that we get stuck and we land on part of the railing. It's a relatively precise angle, and it can be pretty finicky.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is one of the banes of a spider skip for new runners. But it's a very strong trick to know. There we go. If we get stuck in that wall, then it means we... Don't worry about the static. It's fine. And there we go. Now, we're not quite done yet. We got one more to go through, but this one is a fair amount easier, and we don't have to use a bomb space jump. There's a little arc that we can use to jump onto a small standable there and jump onto this rock here, which can be a little finicky, but we got it second try. And thankfully, because the load trigger there is on that rock, we can actually wait for the room to load, so we don't actually lose any time. This room is a little chaotic. There's this power pirate here, which we have unlovingly named Calvin. We don't like Calvin.
He's such a jerk.
I can't say that word here.
Such a meanie.
Indeed. So this was the pirate that we need the power bomb for, that we need to take out for an artifact. This guy only appears after you have picked up the main power bombs, or rather, you can only open that after you pick them up. He's locking the artifact of warrior, and he takes 24 missiles to kill. Thankfully, one of the regular pirates dropped us some missiles, so we had enough. Another cutscene overlap here. Nicely done. If you do it at just the right or wrong time, if you put it, those platforms will actually not lower, and you may either have to reload the room or do a different strat. So normally you're supposed to raise, or rather lower those platforms, but again, scan dashing and everything is standable, and we just make our way out of it immediately.
Fun fact, if you pause the game when you're leaving that room, the game can sometimes crash.
Yep, because Metroid Prime. Here's another one of the infamous spider skips or processing, also occasionally known as garbage processing. because you need to do some pretty precise standables, particularly this one here. Nicely done to make it up the room. Normally supposed to use a bomb slot to turn those to align the spire track, and very so slowly and carefully climb the room, but we're not interested.
That's it for mines, isn't it?
Indeed.
We're heading out. We're leaving. Goodbye, mine. Yes. Everything's on fire, but we do not care.
Yes. We didn't even get to go through most of the rooms. So now we just have one more artifact to go, and then we'll be able to go to final bosses. And get our lovely orange, yellowish Omega suit. I actually quite like this one. So here's once again where the routes converge. This would be the same route that you would take in a regular route of 80%. We do a tricky dash there off a seedling that's way up in the ceiling, and we can make it across. There's that spinner that we would normally use, but we bar skipped earlier. And we're on our way back to Chozo. So another interesting thing about this next artifact is that in a out of bounds run, you could do Ice Beam before Flagra, which is pretty self-explanatory. But if you do that, then you actually avoid doing the previous ghost fight where you fought the one ghost. If you did that, then you have an opportunity to do something called Ghost Skip, where you can just skip fighting that ghost altogether and grab the artifact and leave. Thankfully, if you're doing this route, you don't have to deal with that. You can just immediately go to the bomb slot without any worries. These three ghosts will spawn, but they don't lock the doors, so we can just ignore them. They will still try to attack you, though. Didn't quite get the instant on Warflare. There we go, that's our second to last artifact. We can do a nice slope jump off the perfectly shaped nose of the statue to make it up. There's a very interesting strat here where you do a dash here to this ledge and you don't quite make it, but you can hit the low trigger if you do it just right. So that way when you make it up, the room will open immediately, just like that.
It looks slow, but it's actually faster because the room will open before you even get to the door.
Yeah, it's a good case study in how hitting the low trigger is better than immediately going to the door. At least most of the time.
Yeah, sometimes the slow strats are faster.
Hello again for your crash site, my beloved.
Yeah, we never visit Sunken Frigate in this run. Never get anywhere.
We never get gravity.
I think we're only underwater for the one room for Tower of Light. That's it.
Yeah. We got a very dry Samus.
Yeah.
So here's our final pit stop. We get a nice refill of our missiles, power bombs, and we do our classic ship save. Just to do that iconic ship dash. It's a bit of a tough one, but you can make it all the way across to the door. We've got a cutscene here to remind us what this place's name is called. So now we're going to come up on Ridley. Ridley has a pretty difficult trick involved. It's a frame perfect one. We're going to try and use some map buffers to do it. We're going to quiet down so we can let Vertigo focus on that one. But before that, we do need to pick up our last artifact, which is conveniently placed here in the center of this room. Oh, he got it. Nicely done. That is a frame perfect trick where if you make Ridley flinch at just the right frame between him switching animations, he will skip flying around, and that saves like a solid chunk of time. Nicely done. That's really hard to do.
60 FPS.
Yep. So now we're onto the ground phase here. He will try to do a lot of attacks, but if you use combination of charge to reveal his weak spot and then just spam missiles, it'll do the trick. We do combine some power pellets occasionally, but we're doing a strat without it. Nicely done. That was a really, really good Ridley fight.
Here comes our bird magic to finish him off for us.
There's some magic bird statues.
And I'm sure
There's
he's...
Yeah, I don't think he'll come across. I don't think he'll come back in any of like the 10 plus games.
Wings, you know. He's got nothing to him left. He's definitely dead.
Also, the ghosts decide that they like us now. We got into and they're letting us into their cool club.
Yeah, we're part of the cool ghost club.
We can do a dash off the magic scan point there.
Maybe they were just angry at us because of Ridley. They're like, hey, you haven't killed that dragon yet, so we're going to be mean to you.
So here's the impact crater. This is the actual final area of the game where we're going to go fight the final boss. This room here, containing 2 very annoying fission Metroids, normally requires you to do a lot of platforming, but we can do a slope jump to climb some veins in the room there and skip about half of it. Or more like 75% actually. It saved a lot of time. And that Metroid is very conveniently placed for us to dash across. Nice animal on the wall there. There's a very interesting spider puzzle there, but it doesn't remotely matter. And here is Metroid Prime. This is the final boss. The exoskeleton is our first phase here. At the start, it's not really super big, but later in this fight, we're going to see some RNG involved. The thing with Metroid Prime here is that on each subchamber, it'll swap between power beam, wave beam, ice, and plasma. For the first subchamber, it'll just do power and wave. The second one, it'll add in ice. Then for the third one, it'll be plasma. And then the fourth is a mess. And I'll tell you about that later. For now, we just got power and wave, which is pretty straightforward. In this fight, we're going to try and use charge beam and land these shots as best we can. Exo can be really finicky to hit sometimes, but we can mitigate some of that by doing melee manipulation, where if you get close enough to Exo's talons, I guess, or encased tentacles, I suppose, it'll try and swing at you and it'll do consistent animations. So optimally we want to see Ice Beam here. Not quite, we got Wave Beam. Ice Beam deals the most amount of damage behind Plasma Beam, then it goes to Power, and then Wave being the weakest, but the silver lining with Wave Beam is that it does automatically target Exo, so we don't need to do as much manual aiming.
You can do these really fancy snipes between phases too, and that's why Ice Beam's a lot faster, is because you can hit Ice Beam doing a lot more damage during what would be another slower beams phase. But we didn't quite get lucky.
Yeah, it'd be like that with Exo. We need to be careful about those orbs. They can deal some crazy damage.
Like an E-tank each if they hit you, like just right.
Yeah, the power ones especially will actually stun you, essentially, for a solid amount of time. Like so. Here's a little fun fact about Ice Beam. It deals like 1.5 times the damage, and it's because Metroid Prime is a Metroid, and Metroids are inherently weak to cold temperatures. So there's a subchamber 3, or subchamber, yeah, subchamber 3, we're gonna see Plasma. I can start with any of them, but Plasma here is the most optimal. The best thing we want to see here is Plasma into Wave Beam, because that means the Wave Beam phase is going to be very short. Then Ice into Power. That way we get the most optimal amount of damage from these run-bys. Okay, we got Ice, which is a little overkill, but it's still nice.
You saw how that phase with ice ended instantly because we got both of those plasma snipes.
Indeed. We didn't quite hit them there.
Yeah, shame.
These shots can be real hard to hit. Despite having essentially an aimbot in Metroid Prime, it can still be hard to hit stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the times the aim assist really hurts you. It like locks on and moves just out of the way at the last second, it feels like. Especially with such a slow moving beam like Ice Beam. It's the slowest beam in the air for travel speed.
Yeah, so after this subchamber, we're going to be entering subchamber 4. And this one is a bit of a mess and where the RNG really starts to show because we're out of beams for EXO to add onto. So instead, EXO becomes much more RNG heavy. It can swap between beams at random and however much it wants. So this is really dependent on the RNG. You can still use melee manip to mitigate it, but EXO sometimes just does what EXO wants. Nope, like
It'd be really cool to see, ice and power, but
yeah, sometimes EXO's just feeling like purple.
it's a purple kind of day.
I love a good bit of purple in my life. Oh, there's a little something.
Oh,
Okay. If you insist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and EXO has an extra attack where he will just speed up for no reason.
Turbo
Nice
EXO.
shot. Okay, there's wave, but thankfully because we got those plasma shots, it'll just end immediately.
Plasma.
Okay, so that's some better RNG. And this last one will be the only one we need. Oh. Oh, it's just on 1 HP. There we go. And that is the first phase of Metroid Prime done.
It's definitely a good thing he killed those orbs before he finished the boss off. Those orbs can still travel towards you and actually kill you during the cutscene of the boss dying. And you run.
And they deal a lot of
get a
damage.
chance.
So here's the Metroid Prime Essence fight. It's a very cool fight. I love the music. And this is what we need the Phazon suit for.
You skip that fight during a specific part of the cutscene, you can accidentally keep the game locked in a white screen. Be completely blind during the entire fight.
Yeah. Skipping cutscenes framed perfectly does weird things. So Metroid Prime Essence will occasionally lay these pools after a certain amount of animations have passed. And we can abuse that by shooting her with this Phazon thing that it's the only thing you can deal damage with. And we wait at these certain intervals, so every single time we hit her, it will skip her animation. And once we get to the end of that amount of animations, which is almost always 15, she will immediately lay the pool, and then we can just expend the rest of it. And we're going to repeat that here once more. And then after that, we're going to do something called pool cancels, where we step in and out of the pool, so we fire our shot when we're out of it, and we can get more use out of it. Time is coming soon, by the way. There we go, another one. Now we're going to powerbomb these other Metroids, and we're starting these pool cancels. Sometimes it varies. Alright, time is incoming. And time. There we go. Nicely done. That was a really solid Essence fight. Yeah, GG. Ooh, that was a really solid run.
It really was.
Yeah, no, that was a great run. It's great to watch.
Yeah. EXO was unfortunately a little mean.
We'll find out what.
Final boss will steal our suit from us real quick. Leave us with, it's Gravity Suit again. Cool.
Yeah, it's that suit we never picked up. And then Essence kind of has an aneurysm, so we gotta leave.
Freak out time again.
And then we get a Various suit back. And then because Samus is really cool, she's going to jump off to avoid these explosions.
Samus running like the devil.
Yep.
It's actually the name of that animation in the game.
Really?
Samus running and jumping like the devil.
I never knew that. That's amazing.
Yep.
Oh, also gravity suit again.
Oh yeah, gravity suit again. Game's really confused what we're supposed to be doing here.
Indeed. Man, that was Metroid Prime, any percent no inbounds / no IS / no major glitches. Despite it being technically quite a bit slower than modern routes, you can still go really fast. Vertigo's personal best with this route is 56 in-game time, which is still really, really solid, even when paired against like the most optimal routes. So you can get very, very good at this game without even doing some of the most major skips and tricks. And here's where we're going to see what in-game time we got. 58.
Pretty good.
58.
That's really solid.
Really
Sub
good.
hour, nice.
Yeah. Got that extra minute off too, yeah.
That
Really,
is-
really well done.
Unfortunately, the in-game screen here doesn't track like seconds. It knows the seconds, it just won't tell you, so we don't know.
Yes. We do have tools for that nowadays, but 58, really nicely done.
Yeah, no, congrats, Vertigo. All right, and thanks to all of you for this run. Vertigo, where can people find you if they want to see more?
I am on Twitch / GD Vertigo.
Yeah, you'll find it in the title.
All right, yeah. So everyone, make sure to go and follow Vertigo. Sam Whiskers, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I mainly do Prime related stuff or various stuff on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Samuel6710. I also have a YouTube channel where I upload VODs and occasionally various types of videos. That's where you'll find me. We got Whiskers as well.
Yep. You could find me on Twitch or YouTube with Whiskers, pretty much.
Yeah. And also play Metroid Prime. This game is very good. If you haven't played it, you should do it. I think you
Yeah, even
enjoy it.
if you're not speedrunning it, just play it. It's a good game.
Oh yeah. Did you hear got
All
a
right.
sequel?
Well, thank y'all. I think two even.
Yeah, maybe. And I've heard there's a third one on the way.
Allegedly. All right. Well, thank you all so much. We're going to go to just a quick break. If you'll stick with us, chat, we will be right back with you. So bear with us just a moment or so.
Thank you, Kasaki.